Hello, Dana. How you doing?
Hello, it is a pleasure to speak to you. Thank you so much, Sharon.
Thank
This
you.
was a fantastic movie, and what I wanted to know is, do you consider Noji's relationship with Eve kind of paternal, or is it more of a sisterhood?
Wow, gosh. I think it's a sisterhood. I think Nogi's relationship with Eve starts in a way of an acknowledgement of life experiences and an empathy towards somebody who she sees has similarities to herself. She herself knows, without giving too much away with the backstory, yeah, because I don't know how much I can, but she knows what it is to be displaced. And I mean, if people when people go and see the film, that this is not your average Russian Ruska Roma character. So she's someone else who's come from the outside in and has been allowed into that realm, just as Eve has. And so to see this young child come in, no family, orphaned. She takes her under her wing, and it's, yeah. I think the director would be more of the a wicked, almost stepmother, maternal side, but yes, definitely sisterly for sure,
Right.
and it continues, and maybe grows in a sense of they described her as the Mr. Miyagi of the franchise, and I feel there is truth in that. And I think maybe at certain stages within the film you can see that stretched a little bit, where there's a sense of duty, but actually there's a definite loyalty between the two of them. Yeah.
Right. Did you do or create some kind of backstory for that displacement? Because there's so much heart and
Oh,
love once you
really?
see her. Yeah.
Oh, wow, gosh, thank you. Well, yes, there is a definite backstory. Myself and Len and Chad discussed it at great length when I first came on board with the project, and we talked about. I was explaining earlier that the word Black Russian, because I was like, how is this black woman going to come into this world, Ruska Roma, and I just Black Russian, the drink came to my head, but I thought, well, what does that mean in a sense? Because we
Right.
don't talk about black people in the Russian community. We don't talk. A lot of people don't think that there are black people in Russia. And there's a whole community of black people there. So I looked into why people end up there and how people have ended up there in previous decades, centuries, and so there was an element of that coming into it. But instinctively, it was about the term, and from that we built this backstory, which could come up in the future. We'll see. I don't want to say anything. I don't know who plans for what to go where. It's not my decision. But as far as the John Wick world goes, and as far as ballerina, most importantly, goes, there is a life and there is a backstory that could be explored. We'll see. But yes, I think it helps with most of us actors to have a very solid backstory, and it gives us a big support to just build on it. Otherwise, sometimes you just feel like you're acting on thin air, and there's no heart, there's no gravitas to the truth of what you're doing, and it felt good to be able to do that. So yeah.
So there is the term fight like a girl that is
Yeah.
displayed all throughout. What I wanted to know is, what does that mean to Nogi and to Sharon as well?
Fight like a girl means we do have to navigate this world in a very different way to survive, and we have learnt, even if it's unknowingly or unwittingly, learnt ways to survive in general day to day. So if I were to actually live in a world such as the John Wick franchise, it's like you need to have your wits about you. You need if you're a fighter, you have to have the skill. So you need to know certain tricks that are not necessarily seen, but they're there. There's an essence of what's pushing that punch, that kick, that trick, that little. We move differently, as in a sense of negotiations and getting our own way. And I think it's the same when you fight. We fight. You've got people who've got siblings, and you see a family of 7 brothers and 1 girl. Sometimes it's the daughter who is the toughest of them all, because she's learned and has to be, and her ways will always supersede her siblings. So I think anybody who has had to navigate the world, and identifying as a girl, will know and understand exactly what that means. So yeah, it's the tricks we need to survive, but executing them without anybody ever knowing or gauging what that trick is or that secret is, if you see what I mean.
So I wanted to know, what do you feel that school means to Nogi? Why is it that school is so important as opposed to leaving and going on? She said is also a teacher there.
I think when you are enlisted, enrolled, or joined, signed up, whichever way you want to look at it, into the Ruska Roma, you're in it for good. There's no leaving. I think the majority of the people that enter that realm, when you do see people kicked out, it's because they're not up for it. They're not fit for purpose. Whereas they take on a lot of orphans. They take a lot of people on who have, as with most gangs, it's somebody who needs a home, needs a family. I think that once you've inducted into that world, you understand the truth of it, and you become so uh, you're pulled into such an extent that you can't drift away for long, even if you think about it. And I think looking forward, and there is a truth as to why she's there. There's a truth as to why she's so loyal to the Ruska Roma, particularly the director as well. I think uh, that's possibly a taste of a question to be answered maybe later on, possibly. But yes, I think that everybody who knows the John Wick franchise knows that there's no escaping. You're in, and you're tied in. But there are pros and cons. If you are a fighter, which she is, and that's the deal. That's the deal. You're signed in for life. But there'll be a reason. There's always a reason when people are there. So that's the truth of it. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for speaking to me. Wonderful film.
You.
Thank
Thank you
you.
very much. Take care. All the best.
Thank
Thank you,
you.
Dana.
Thank
Bye
you.
bye.